Space was cold and dark. Nothing moved, nothing breathed. Stars watched in silence as time passed slowly, but then something broke the stillness. A sound, a voice, a cry. "Humans, please help, my mom isn't breathing." The voice repeated every few seconds. It wasn't a radio wave. It was something older, an emergency pulse, coded in a language humans could understand. The voice was young, scared, and full of pain. No one knew where it came from, not at first, but it traveled across systems, across old satellites, until it reached Echo 9 station. Lieutenant Mason was drinking his cold coffee when the alert blinked on the main screen. He stared at it, confused. His comms officer looked at him, pale and tense. "Sir, you need to hear this." He played the message, "Humans, please help, my mom isn't breathing." Mason leaned in, his face hard to read. The officer whispered, "It's not human, sir, but it's speaking English. How's that possible?" Mason asked. "No clue." The officer replied, "But the signal is real, not a recording." Echo 9 was not a main station. It was old, forgotten after the war. Its job was to listen, and nothing more, but now it had heard something no one could ignore. A child from another world asking for human help. The news spread fast. The Central Council argued for hours. Some said it was a trap. Others said it was fake. But Mason didn't wait. He had seen war, and he had seen children cry. He knew this voice was real. He took his small team, just 4 people, himself, a young pilot named Torres, a medic named Samira, and an AI tech named Lena. They boarded the scout ship Mercy and followed the signal. It led them to a broken moon on the edge of space, a place no one had visited in decades. The surface of the moon was dead and dry, but orbiting it was a small escape pod, barely alive. Its outer shell was cracked. The life support weak. Mason's crew approached carefully, scanning for traps. There were none. Inside the pod, they found a child. His skin was light blue, his eyes large and glowing. He looked no older than 7. In human years, he was kneeling beside a woman, his mother, who was lying still. Her chest did not rise. Her eyes did not open. The child was crying softly, holding her hand when he saw the humans. He looked up in shock. "You came," he said, his voice shaking. "You really came." Samira rushed forward with her medkit. She scanned the alien mother, trying to find a heartbeat. "I don't know her biology," she said, "but she's very weak." The child stood, eyes wide, and pointed at Lena. "You," he whispered. "I saw you in my dream." Lena froze. "What do you mean?" she asked. "I saw you in my dream," the child repeated. "You said help would come. And now you're here." Everyone in the pod went quiet. Mason looked at Lena, who looked just as confused as everyone else. She had never met this alien child, at least not in this life. The child spoke again. "My name is Solon. We were running, but something found us. The ship was attacked. We crashed here. My mom. She protected me, but now she won't wake up." Mason felt something shift in his chest, a deep ache, a memory from the war. He had seen too many parents die trying to save their children. He knelt beside Solon, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You're safe now, Solon. We'll help your mother. I promise." Suddenly, the pod shook, lights flickered, and an alarm began to beep on the scout ship. Torres called out from the comms, "Captain, something's moving under the moon's surface." Mason stood quickly, his eyes sharp. "Is it a creature?" he asked. "No." Torres said, "It's a structure. And it's waking up." Lena's voice cracked through the radio. "Captain, the signal. It's not just a call for help. It's also a key. Something old is listening. And now it knows we're here." Solon looked up, his face full of fear. "They're coming," he said. "The ones who hurt us, they don't want you to help. They want everyone to forget." The lights went out, silence returned for a moment, but it was not peaceful anymore. It was the silence before something terrible. Asterisk darkness surrounded the rescue pod. The lights had died, and the air was cold. No one spoke, no one moved, even machines held their breath, if they could. Solon stood close to his mother's body. The alien child's eyes glowed softly in the dark. He was shivering, but not from cold. They are near. He whispered, "They know humans have come." Mason turned on a handheld torch. A soft beam lit up the inside of the pod. He spoke. "Calmly, Taurus. Report. What's moving under us?" The pilot's voice crackled through the radio, filled with static. "Sir, I think it's a machine." Outside the pod, something ancient began to rise. A tower buried under the surface of the moon. Now glowing red, it was not made by humans, and it was not part of Solon's ship. It had been here long before either arrived. Back inside, Lena was staring at Solon. She stepped closer, her voice shaking slightly. "You said you saw me in your dream." Solon nodded. "You were standing in fire, but you didn't burn. You spoke earthwards. But your eyes were like stars." Lena froze, her heart racing. She had never met this child, but something about his words felt true, a memory she didn't remember, a warning from a dream she never had. Samira, the medic, was still working on the alien mother. She tried everything: oxygen, pressure pads, even for fluid through a strange blue vein, but nothing worked. "She's stable," Samira said, "but I don't know how long she'll stay that way." Solon walked over slowly, placing his small hand over his mother's heart. He closed his eyes, and for a moment the room felt warm. Soft blue light rose from his skin. Machines in Samira's kit began to beep again. The mother's chest moved slightly. She was breathing, weak but alive. Mason stepped back, stunned. "What did you just do?" he asked. "I shared energy," Solon said softly. "Lifelight. We call it," Lena whispered. "Is that why you're so weak?" He nodded. "I gave her most of mine." Outside, the moon trembled again. The tower had fully risen now, and light pulsed from its core. Torres shouted through the comms. "Something. It's scanning us. It's not a weapon. It's looking for something." Then the lights inside the pod turned on, not the ship's lights, but a new glow. Blue symbols appeared on the walls, moving like water. Solon stared in fear. "It's the Guardian," he said. "It watches those who ask humans for help." Lena stepped toward the symbols, her fingers tracing the lines. They moved with her touch, forming words in English. "The boy is not alone." The writing said, "The boy is the link." Suddenly, a voice filled the pod. It came from nowhere and everywhere at once. Cold, ancient, mechanical. Connection found, human interface matched. The light struck Lena's chest. She gasped. Falling to her knees, images flashed in her mind. Stars, war, earth burning. And then, a small hand reaching out, Solon ran to her side, his voice rising. "Stop it. She's not ready." The light stopped, and Lena collapsed into Mason's arms, breathing heavily. "What just happened?" Mason asked. Solon replied, "She's the one, the interface. Only she can speak to the Guardian." Samira's voice broke in. "Guys, look at this." She showed her scanner. Lena's heart rate and brain activity had doubled. "She's connected to something, or someone." Taurus shouted again, "Captain, that tower just sent a signal. It's going straight toward Earth." Everyone went silent. Solon whispered, "They think Earth is dangerous. They remember what happened long ago." Mason stared at the rising tower, then at the child. "What happened?" he asked. "What did humans do?" Solon's voice cracked. "Your people helped us once, a long time ago, before memory, but then someone broke the promise. The Guardian was made to protect us from humans." Lena woke slowly, her voice distant. "I saw something, a city, burning, an Earth symbol on the wall. But there were aliens too, not attacking, hiding. Solon nodded. Yes, some humans saved us. Some destroyed us. Now the Guardian must decide. Again, outside, the tower began to shift. A second shape rose behind it. A ship, huge, silent, and covered in dust and history. No engines, no crew, just waiting. Samira whispered, "What is that?" Solon looked at her with sad eyes. "That is not a ship," he said. "That is the judge." Mason stood, his voice strong. The ancient ship floated in silence. No lights, no movement, no sound. Yet every human on the rescue team felt it watching them. The stars seemed quieter now, as if space itself was holding its breath. Inside the rescue pod, Lena sat alone in a corner. Her eyes were open, but she wasn't fully present. Her hands traced invisible patterns in the air. The same blue symbols that had appeared on the walls. Earlier, her lips moved, but the words didn't sound like English. Mason knelt beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Lena, are you all right?" She blinked, slowly returning to herself. I think the Guardian is still inside my head," she said. "It's showing me something over and over, a code. But I don't know how to read it." Solon was standing near his mother, who had not woken again. The blue glow from his skin was weaker now. He turned to Lena and said, "The Guardian chose you for a reason. It speaks through symbols, memories, and feelings." Samira looked at her scanner, then at Lena. "Your brain is showing patterns I've never seen in humans before. It's like your mind is syncing with an alien machine." Suddenly, a deep hum echoed from the ancient ship outside. The tower beside it blinked once, and then a beam of red light shot into the stars. Torres shouted through comms. It just sent out another signal. Destination: Earth. Everyone went quiet. Lena stood up, her voice stronger now. "It's sending warnings. Or maybe judgments." Solon looked down. "The Guardian thinks Earth is dangerous. Then we better prove we're worth saving. Asterisk. It remembers a time when humans were not heroes." Mason frowned. "But we didn't start a war with your people." Solon nodded. "I believe you. But the Guardian doesn't trust belief. It trusts data and Earth's past. It is full of pain outside." Something changed. The air around the ancient ship began to shimmer. A second layer of the ship peeled back, revealing thousands of blue-line data paths. They moved like rivers, flowing across the hull. Glowing brighter with each second, Lena whispered, "It's opening. It wants us to see something." Mason turned to Torres. "Prep the shuttle. We're going in." A few minutes later, the team approached the alien ship in their small transport. The docking bay opened without a sound. Inside, there was no crew, just halls filled with light and memory. Every wall showed moving images: Earth cities, alien forests, war, peace, laughter, betrayal, and a child with glowing eyes. Solon, he stared at the walls, his voice soft. "This is not just a ship. It's a record of everything." Lena stepped forward as blue lights gathered at her feet. Symbols rose around her, moving like a puzzle, trying to fit together. Then they stopped waiting for her touch. She reached out, and the symbols responded. A voice echoed. From the walls, the same cold, ancient voice as before. Human interface confirmed. The lights formed a sphere of data in the air. Inside it, a memory, old and broken. It showed a group of humans giving aid to aliens like Solon's kind. Food, medicine, books. But then another group arrived. With weapons, fire followed. And the memory ended in ash. Lena fell to her knees. We were the hope and the fear. The voice returned. Human history is full of both. Which part will rise again? It asked. Suddenly, the lights dimmed and a hidden door opened. Inside was a tall glass pillar. Glowing from within, a symbol on the glass was unmistakable Earth's flag, old and faded, Below it, a handprint scanner. Human-sized Mason stepped. Forward, is that? Meant for one of us. Solon nodded. The code must be completed. Only a human can finish it. But what is it? Samira asked. Solon's voice was steady. It's a message. One Earth once promised to send across the stars, a message of peace, protection, and truth. But it was never finished. Now you must decide whether to complete it, or erase it forever, Mason. Placed his hand on the scanner, lights moved, the pillar glowed brighter. Then it stopped. Asking for one final input, a name, Lena stepped up, her fingers shaking. She typed in 2 words, "We care." The ship hummed again. This time, softer. The walls changed, showing new images, human rescue ships. Smiles, a hand reaching out. The Guardian spoke again. Message accepted. Then, silence. Everyone looked at Solon. He was crying not from fear, but relief. You did it, he whispered. You told the truth. Outside. The stars looked a little warmer. The ancient ship powered down, going silent once more, but the red beams stopped. And Earth was no longer marked as target. Now, it was marked. Under review, asterisk, the Guardian ship slept again. Its lights dimmed, its walls no longer moved. But the message it had accepted still echoed in the minds of everyone aboard. We care. 2 words, typed by Lena, had changed everything. For a moment, it felt like peace had won. But peace never lasts long in deep space. Mason's crew returned. To their shuttle, the pod door closed behind them. Lena sat quietly, her fingers twitching from the aftershock. Samira helped Solon back to his mother, whose heartbeat was now stronger, and Mason. He was staring at Taurus the pilot just a little too long. Something was wrong. He could feel it. Taurus hadn't spoken much since the Guardian went silent, and when he did, his voice was too calm, too cold. Back on the rescue ship, Mercy. The crew gathered in the briefing room. Solon sat with his mother resting beside him. He was still weak, but his eyes held new wisdom. He looked around the room and whispered, "One of you." Was part of the past. Everyone turned, confused. Lena asked gently, "What do you mean?" Solon answered, "The Guardian showed me something else. But only I could see it. One of you is linked to the fire. One of you came here. Not to help but to finish what was started." Mason stood slowly, scanning every face. "I need truth now," he said, voice sharp, "because if someone on this ship has lied to us, we're not just in danger. Earth is." The silence was broken by Torres. He leaned back in his chair. His arms crossed, his face was still calm, but his eyes were full of something dark. "You should have left the boy to die," he said. Lena gasped. Samira stood up, her hand moving to her tool belt. Mason stepped forward, fists clenched. "What did you just say?" he asked. Torres smiled, not kindly. "I said what I meant," he replied. "The boy is a weapon. That whole species is. You think the Guardian forgot what they did to us first?" Solon's voice rose. "That's a lie. We asked for peace. It was your side that turned on us." Torres stood slowly, and the truth spilled out like oil on fire. "My grandfather served in the Black Echo unit. He was on the first mission to this region. They made contact, offered medicine, food, light, and those aliens killed them. But no one on Earth ever told the truth. They called it a systems error." Lena whispered, "You knew this before we came." Torres nodded, "And I made sure this mission launched so I could finish what they started." Mason's heart pounded. "You put everyone at risk. You risked Earth too." Torres shrugged. "Sometimes you burn a field to save a crop. Before anyone could move, the ship jolted. A shockwave hit the hull, shaking the walls. Red lights flashed external warning. Something had activated near the Guardian ship. Samira ran to the screen. It's not a weapon. It's a data pulse pointed at Earth again. Solon stood slowly, his eyes glowing again. It knows. The Guardian sensed the lie. Lena turned to Torres, her voice shaking. What did you upload into the Guardian system? Torres grinned. Just a little memory file. Real footage from the old war. The moment one of their kind burned a human child alive, Solon collapsed to the floor, gasping. His mother's screamed eyes now open, but filled with terror. No. She cried. Not again. The ship trembled again. This time, Mason drew his sidearm and aimed it at Torres. You're done, he said. Torres smirked. You think shooting me stops the code? That ship is making its decision now, and I made sure it sees only one side. Lena ran to the console, her fingers flying over keys. She opened the Guardian's signal feed, searching for a way to send new data. Samira joined her. We have... To show it the whole truth, Mason turned to Solon. Can you connect with it again? The boy nodded. Barely. I'll try. His small hand touched the screen. A blue spark jumped through his fingers. The feed shimmered. 2 timelines began to merge. Not just the footage from Torres, but new images. Solon's memories, his. Mother's memories, humans helping, humans healing. Torres watched in disbelief. That's not possible. He muttered. It is, Lena said, because truth has more than one face outside. The Guardian ship pulsed with blue light. The red signal faded, replaced with a soft green. The screen flashed one word in every language. Understood. Torres was silent now. Broken, defeated. And alone. Mason locked him in the brig without another word. Then he turned to Solon, who had collapsed again. Samira rushed to help him. He's burning out, she whispered. Too much strain. The mother spoke, her voice weak, but clear. He is more than a child, she said. He is the key. But keys can break if turned too fast. Mason looked at the stars beyond the window and wondered, was Earth really ready to face its full truth? Asterisk, she opened her eyes, but she didn't breathe at first. The silence around her was still, thick like fog. Then the sound returns, low heartbeats. Beeping monitors, a whisper of air. Samira leaned in, her voice soft. You're safe now. You're. On a human ship, your son is alive. The alien mother blinked slowly, her eyes a deep violet. They didn't seem to focus on the present. Instead, they drifted like she was looking through the walls. Through time, Solon lay beside her, unconscious. His skin pale and flickering with faint light. He hadn't spoken since the last connection. With the Guardian, something inside him was changing, and it wasn't just exhaustion. Mason stood at the doorway, arms crossed. He didn't know what to feel anymore. They had stopped Torres, prevented Earth from being targeted again. But the cost was rising, and now, this mother. She wasn't just recovering, she was remembering something she had locked away. The mother sat up slowly, her voice distant. He was not supposed to unlock the link so soon. Lena stepped forward. You mean Solon? The mother nodded. He is the bridge. He holds pieces of both sides, but now, something else is coming through him. Samira checked her scanners. They're both still connected, like some kind of mental code sharing outside the ship. Space shimmered, barely visible waves moved across the stars. The Guardian ship powered down again, but this time, not fully. Its outer shell opened slightly, revealing a sphere of pure energy pulsing like a second heart. Lena stared at it through the ship's viewport. What is that? She whispered. Solon's mother replied. That is the vault, the Guardian's memory core. It holds the first contact between your kind and mine. Mason narrowed his eyes. Why show us now? The mother looked at him, her expression suddenly sharper. Because the vault is not meant to be opened, not by humans. Samira's monitor beeped again. Solon's vitals had spiked. Then, he opened his eyes, but they were no longer blue. They were filled with stars, Tiny constellations blinked across his pupils, like galaxies had been placed inside him. He spoke in a voice that was not just his own. I remember now. I remember Earth's kindness. And I remember the fire. Lena stepped closer. Solon, is that still you? He nodded slowly. I am me. And more than me, the Guardian left something behind when I touched it. It gave me part of the vault. The ship shook this time from inside. The lights flickered, but not from damage. From interference, Samira's screen turned black, then flashed with symbols. Not alien, not human. Something older, more primal. Mason barked. What is this? A system hack. The mother stood, her strength returning fast. No, something else is waking. Something older than the Guardian. Solon's voice was calm. It felt me touch the vault. It felt me remember. Lena asked. What is it? He answered without blinking. It is called the Hollow Star, and it hates all memory, Mason whispered. Is it coming here? The ship answered for him. An alert sounded across all systems. Unidentified object origin, unknown, approaching at high speed. Massive, silent, and cold. The mother grabbed her son, holding him close. You should not have opened the vault, she said, but it is too late now. Solon looked at Lena. Then Mason, there is one hope. The Guardian trusted me with part of its code, but the other half is buried on Earth. Everyone stared. Mason stepped forward. You're saying we need to go back to Earth? Solon nodded. If we don't reconnect the code, the Hollow Star will erase everything, memories, history, even light. The ship went silent again. Only the hum of deep space could be felt. Mason looked out the window at the cold stars, then back at the boy who now held galaxies in his eyes. He didn't see a child anymore. He saw a bridge between past and future. He spoke quietly. Then let's finish what your people started. Lena asked, what happens if we fail? The mother answered, her voice now deep and ancient. Then no one will remember we were ever here. Earth looked beautiful from orbit. Blue oceans, white clouds, golden lands. But peace is not always found beneath beauty. Sometimes the most dangerous storms grow under clear skies. Solon watched the planet from the ship's window. His eyes were still filled with galaxies. His thoughts were no longer just his own. The Guardian's code pulsed inside him. It whispered secrets of the past and warned of what could come if the final peace was not restored. Mason stood beside him, silent. Lena was on the comms, trying to contact Earth's High Council. Samira stayed near Solon's mother, who had gone quiet again. The strain of awakening was taking its toll. Are they answering? Mason asked. Lena shook her head. Not all of them. Some military stations are online, but the council is divided. Solon turned from the window. They fear the truth, he said. They fear what I carry. They think I'm here to finish a war, Lena replied. They don't understand you yet. We'll help them see. But Earth had already begun preparing for defense. Satellites locked positions, ships moved into orbit. An old protocol was reactivated, Project Eclipse, a last resort measure meant to block unknown threats by any means. Inside Earth Command, the Council argued, this child could be the end of us. One general said, or the start of something better, whispered a scientist. But the vote was not about truth. It was about fear. On the mercy the crew received. Earth's reply, a warning. You are not cleared to enter Earth space. Do not approach with the alien code. You may be fired upon. Mason's face turned pale. They think we've been corrupted, he muttered. Lena looked at Solon. What? Now? Solon did not speak. He walked slowly to the center of the ship, where the Guardian's fragment glowed. He placed his hand on it, and his voice filled the room. I see Earth's heart. Some parts beat with love, others with fear. I cannot force them to choose. Mason stepped forward. Then what can you do? Solon looked up. I can let them see all of it. The pain, the kindness, the fire, and the peace, Samira warned. That kind of connection, it could tear your mind apart. Solon smiled, a sad, quiet smile. Maybe. But if no one remembers the truth, then none of us deserve to survive. The ship's lights dimmed. Solon knelt beside his mother. She opened her eyes one last time and whispered, "You were never just my child. You were always the bridge, Solon." Stood tall, light flowing through his veins, he walked to the ship's core and placed both hands on the vault fragment. The Guardian's energy pulsed with him. Then he connected across space, across satellites, across human minds. Images began to spread, not words, not threats, memories. A child watching stars from Earth's surface, a soldier giving water to a dying alien, a city burning by mistake, two hands reaching out but never touching, and finally Solon's face. Full of hope, full of questions, back on Earth people. Paused, screens froze, radios hummed with silence, and then tears. Not because of pain, but because of what had been forgotten. The High Council went quiet. The military ships held position, and one by one, the fire commands were erased from their systems. Lena whispered. It worked. But Solon had fallen to the floor. Samira rushed to him, checking vitals. He's alive but weak. His body isn't built for this kind of link. The Guardian's voice echoed faintly through the vault. Code complete. Review accepted. Earth classified as unresolved potential. Solon opened his eyes slowly. I showed them not just what we were, but what we could be. Mason helped him sit up. You gave them a choice. Solon replied, now it's theirs to make, outside. The hollow star paused in the void. Its approach slowed, its pulse dimmed. It had sensed the code completion, and now it waited. Back in Earth Command, the Council voted again. This time, they voted not from fear, but from memory. And the answer was simple. Let them come. Asterisk, the stars were silent again. But this time, it wasn't fear. It was waiting, watching. The hollow star remained in the black void, massive, ancient, and still. Its hunger had paused, not because it had lost, but because it had been heard. On board the Mercy, Solon lay on a biobed. Eyes closed, his pulse was slow, his body drained. But the code inside him had finished its journey. Lena sat beside him. Her fingers were wrapped around his small, cold hand. Samira adjusted the monitors gently, whispering words he could no longer hear. Mason stood at the viewport. Earth glowed below, so close now. But they hadn't landed yet, not until they knew what came next. The Guardian ship, now fully dormant, had released its final signal. One last echo from the vault, not a warning. A goodbye. Solon's mother sat upright for the first time in hours. Her skin was pale, her eyes dim, but her voice was steady. The hollow star was born when a memory was erased. She said, a war began, and no one wrote it down, so it kept repeating. Lena asked. Then why did it stop? The mother looked at Solon because he didn't just send data, he sent feeling. A beep interrupted them. Earth Command was hailing them directly. Lena answered, and a familiar face appeared, a councilwoman. Her eyes were red from crying. We received everything, she said softly. On every screen, every device, people saw what we forgot. Mason stepped forward. What's your decision? The councilwoman paused. Your shuttle is clear to land. No weapons, no fear, just questions. The crew exhaled, a quiet relief, but Solon still had not moved. The hollow star, far in the distance, sent one final pulse, a soft hum through the stars. It was not a threat, it was a request. Show me. Solon's mother stood, her voice trembling. It still waits for a final answer. Mason turned. What more can we show?" She placed a hand on her son's chest. "He cannot carry it anymore. I must take what remains." Samira stepped forward. "You're too weak." The mother shook her head. "I was born to carry memory. He was only ever meant to deliver." Lena understood first. "You're going to become the message." The mother smiled gently. "Someone must go into the hollow star. Not with weapons, but with truth." There was no vote, no debate. Some moments are too full to be delayed. Solon opened his eyes just once more. "I don't want to lose you," he whispered. His mother kissed his forehead. "You are not losing me," she said. "You are sending me forward." They moved quickly. The shuttle prepared. The energy core modified. A capsule was built not to attack, but to deliver. Inside it, a single life. A single mind filled with all that had been felt, lost, and found. Solon stayed awake just long enough to see the stars reflect in his mother's eyes. "Don't let them forget again," he whispered. She smiled. "I won't." The capsule launched, silent, glowing blue. It moved through space like a comet made of memory, and the hollow star opened to receive it. There was no explosion, no fire, only a wave of warmth. And then, light across space, on Earth, in orbit, in every machine, the same word appeared. Not in English, not in alien tongue, but in feeling. Remember, back on the Mercy, silence returned. But it felt different now. Complete, peaceful. Solon slept deeply, his breathing steady. Lena held his hand. Mason watched Earth rise in the window. And Samira wept quietly, not in sorrow, but in awe later, when they landed. Humans gathered to meet them, not with guns, but with open hands. Some knelt before Solon, some smiled through tears. Because they finally knew this child was not a warning, he was the answer. Years passed, the hollow star remained in orbit. It never spoke again. It never had to. And one evening, on a quiet Earth hilltop, Solon stood alone, older now, calm. He looked up at the sky and whispered, "We remembered, then." He smiled, because above him a new star blinked in blue, not hollow, but full.